Hey YouTube, I'm going to attempt to shed some light on this situation, this leaving Neverland situation with these guys, James Safechuck and Wade Robson, and also Michael Jackson, and just the whole shebang. So first, I'm going to start with I had to look at James Safechuck and Wade Robson's Planetary Positions, and the first thing that I noticed was the squares to their sun and Safechuck's Venus, and also Robson's moon. Safechuck has the sun 9 degrees in Pisces. He has Neptune 18 degrees in Sagittarius. So that's basically a square, because with the sun and the moon, you're allowed a 10-degree orb for it to be a square. So yeah, James has the sun square Neptune. Wade Robson has the sun 23 degrees in Virgo and Neptune 24 degrees in Sagittarius. So that's just pretty much an exact square. James Safechuck also has Venus square to his Neptune. Wade Robson also has the moon square to his Neptune. So these guys have a lot of Neptune squares. And I found that interesting. Also, Michael Jackson has the moon in Pisces. McCauly Culkin has the moon in Pisces, and so does Marie. So this is very interesting. So let me come from, I'm going to read a passage from Julia and Derek Parker's Astrology. And in Parker's Astrology, the 1991 edition, on page 288, they talk about the moon in Pisces. Now remember, this is Michael's moon, Macaulay Culkin's moon, and Lisa Marie's moon. And it says the emotional responses. The individual is easily moved, whether to great happiness or sadness. He or she may be moved to tears by a piece of music that rings nostalgic bells, or affected in an above average way when scenes of disasters flash on the television screen. The response will be to do something kind and charitable. That was Michael for sure. Perhaps sending hard-earned cash to aid those in distress, even to the point of self-denial. Now he was like that. He was very giving, and he was very compassionate toward those who were less fortunate than him. And that's a typical Piscean trait, whether it's a sun, moon, or a Pisces ascendant. Now remember, Michael was a double Pisces. And she says, if creativity is shown in the rest of the chart, this placing will add sensitivity and imagination to the way in which it is expressed. And that is so true. Now, however, there's a negative side to the moon in Pisces. The moon in this sign may weaken the character, encouraging the subject to take the line of least resistance, especially when challenged. As a result, there will be a tendency to tell lies and to be very deceptive. We all know how he lied a lot in that interview with Martin Bashir. You know, he said he only had 2 nose jobs, and we know he's had way more than that. He's had other surgery on his face. So yeah, we saw those lies that he told. As a result, there will be a tendency to tell lies and to be very deceptive, not only toward others, but to the self as well. And see, that reminds me of when he told James and Wade that, we're not gay. This is how we show our love. That was a complete lie, okay? And we're going to see why they fed into that lie that he told them in a few minutes. When the subject does deceive others, their excuse will be that lies are less hurtful than the truth. And those lies will be told with astonishing spontaneity. And this is what she says. Parents with children who have this placing must be kind and understanding, but very firm indeed in making their offspring realize that truthfulness is essential. That's just the moon in Pisces. Like I say, he's a double Pisces. Now, getting to James and Wade's Sun square Neptune in their natal chart. Now, this is from Parker's Astrology, the new edition, page 280, 1991. Moon square Neptune. A tendency to deceive others and the self is present. Lord have mercy. The first sentence. The subject may think he or she is finding an easy way out of difficult situations, but if such deceptions are successful, they can weaken the character. And that's exactly what it did to James and Wade. Now listen to this next paragraph. Children with this aspect may need special guidance and encouragement to be honest and tell the truth. This is why they lied for all those years. Deviousness in financial affairs can occur, usually with disastrous results. So professional financial advice should always be taken. There's a strong tendency to fall back on negative escapism through drink, smoking, or other drugs. Moderation and control of all extreme escapist behavior patterns and faults is essential. And that happens with Pisces moons too, and suns and ascendants. This is unbelievable. I'm going to read a passage from one part of Neverland, Leaving Neverland, part 1. And you'll see why I'm reading this in a few minutes. Jimmy Safechuck says, quote, in Paris, he introduced me to masturbation, and that's how it started. Michael and I were in his room. He set it up like, I'm going to show you something that everybody does. You'll really enjoy it. It's like he's teaching you something new. And I remember my penis swelling up because I did it so much that first time. I must have done it a few times. I remember dipping my penis in warm water. Michael filled a cup up with water so I could pee. It was hard to pee. Then he says, I don't have any unpleasant memories other than not being able to pee. So Jimmy says he doesn't have any unpleasant memories other than not being able to pee. So how is that abuse? So what you're saying is all you have is pleasant memories of those days when you were so-called being abused. Quote, it felt like you were bonding in a way. The tour was the start of this sexual-like couple relationship. Lord have mercy. And then Wade says, I remember Michael fondling my penis over my pants, and then his hands went underneath my pants. There was nothing aggressive or abrasive about it. I never felt scared or anything like that. It just didn't seem that strange. And then him guiding me to do the same with him, moving my hand to touch his penis, which was erect. Now, let me get to this next book. I'm going to read a passage from what I call my Astrology Bible, okay? I love this lady. I love her series of books. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Frances Culkin, she's an astrologer, writer, and was the first instructor to teach an accredited astrology course held at JFK University. In addition to her books, she reached a wide public audience through her syndicated television series on astrology. Culkin also served as the director of the New England School of Astrology and the president of the New England Astrological Association. She was also an American Federation of Astrologer board member, becoming the second vice president. So this lady knows her stuff, man. And she wrote the book on aspects, which is called The Astrologer's Handbook. See what it says right here? There has never been an astrology book like this. And she ain't lying. Man, I tell you. I'm going to read the Sun square Neptune from this book. Also keep in mind that this Sun square Neptune, other notables that have this placing is James Cleveland, the late James Cleveland, Woody Allen, and Malachi York, to name a few. Now, we all know James Cleveland and his debauchery, sexual debauchery. Woody Allen, same thing, sexual debauchery. Malachi York, the same thing with his delusional way of thinking that he was some chosen divine being from on high, from some planet Neberu or whatever the hell he was telling people. And he abused children sexually too. You know, he had just, y'all know the story. Research them. James Cleveland, Woody Allen, and Malachi York. But anyway, back to James Safechuck and Wade Robson with the Sun square Neptune. Now she says, this is the aspect of self-deception par excellence. First sentence, y'all. If the natives are mystically inclined, they often consider themselves the chosen vessel of some master or divine being. This belief is often the result of an unconscious desire for importance. These persons can be vessels in a pure sense, but only if the rest of the horoscope shows a good mentality, humility, and realistic practicality. A well-developed Mercury and Saturn will do much to offset the negative effects of this square. Now this is important, so listen up for this next part. For James and Wade, man, I tell you, very often peculiar emotional desires and romantic tendencies are indicated, which can range from platonic love to the most morbid and debased physical type of sensuality. Secret love affairs and scandal leave confusion in their wake. The imagination is often overworked and feeds the natives' desires to the point where they indulge in self-destructive acts. Severe weaknesses in character can develop, distorting their perception of reality. But these difficulties will be manifested only if the rest of the horoscope provides indications of a similar nature. And they both got other Neptune squares too to their Venus and moons. Usually there is a tendency toward escapism as a means of avoiding individual responsibility and discipline. A well-developed Saturn will offset this. Utmost caution should be exercised to avoid involvements in cults and occult mystical activities of a spurious sort. The motives and character of people who interact with the native emotionally should also be carefully and objectively scrutinized. Unstable and unwise financial speculation should be avoided, since get-rich-quick schemes will end in disaster. Wade also has the moon square Neptune. This aspect indicates confusion and a tendency to become immersed in fantasies, resulting in the lack of a grip on reality. Domestic life is likely to be muddled and confused. The home environment disorderly or unclean. This square frequently indicates emotional indulgences, which is manifested in addiction, often to drugs or alcohol. Persons with this square often express mediumistic and psychic tendencies, which can be distorted by low-level astral plane influences. Sometimes the outcome is cultism, delusions of grandeur, and unrealistic ambitions. If the rest of the horoscope agrees, there can be psychosis or delusional insanity, resulting in complete submersion of the native's conscious ego into the morass of the unconscious and consequent institutionalization. So he needs to be careful because he could end up being in an institution somewhere. Natives should be especially careful of dabbling in spiritualism. Often the natives inherit wealth and become social parasites, and the result may be virtual disintegration. This square also produces the easygoing types who never seem to run out of people to help them through their difficulties. Safechuck has Venus square his Neptune. He has Venus 17 degrees in Pisces, Neptune 18 degrees in Sagittarius. Now, this is an interesting square too because ex-Miss America, Vanessa Williams, has this square. Venus square Neptune. This square causes emotional problems connected with the unconscious mind and imagination. Since emotional and sexual problems may arise out of past experience that lies deep in the unconscious, the aspect can have a karmic connotation. Escapist tendencies may cause the natives to live in a fantasy world in order to avoid the harsher realities of life. This proclivity may be manifested in alcoholism or drug abuse. These natives are likely to bestow their affections unwisely. There is danger of scandal through dubious relationships and financial involvements. Prostitution is what I get from that. Sex is generally the grounds for attack. Marital happiness can be endangered by a lack of honesty and directness. Their imaginations can create sexual imagery that inflames the passions. Thus, this aspect can cause emotional complexes of various kinds. Depending on other factors in the horoscope, these tendencies are repressed or are evidenced in overt behavior, which is, nevertheless, usually carried on in private. At times, the natives are shy and retiring, but are inclined to carry on secret romances. See what I'm saying? In extreme cases, there are secret sexual debaucheries. Natives may be homosexuals. That's what it says. At times, the natives are shy and retiring, but they are inclined to carry on secret romances. She keeps reiterating it. In extreme cases, there are, I just read that. I'm sorry. In extreme cases, there are secret sexual debaucheries. Natives may be homosexuals. On the positive side, this aspect can give artistic abilities and aesthetic sensitivity. However, unless Saturn is well aspected in the horoscope, the natives usually lack the discipline necessary to put these abilities into practical use. Sometimes the natives are overly sensitive. Their feelings are hurt too easily or without real cause. This aspect can also cause laziness and disorderly living habits if other factors in the horoscope do not contradict. Sometimes the natives are prey to people who play on their sympathies for the sake of getting something out of them. They can be susceptible to dubious get-rich-quick schemes and need to use discrimination in both their financial dealings and their romantic involvements. In some cases, they are too idealistic, seeking relationships that are hardly possible. They should be wary of impractical forms of cultism or strange religious beliefs. Okay, now I've just shown you. Also, she wrote a book on, on synastry, the astrology of human relationships. I'm going to be getting to that one later. She also wrote a book on predictive astrology. A book on transits called Predictive Astrology. And I'm going to be talking about these later on when I talk about the aspects between Safechuck, Robson, Jordy Chandler, McCauly Culkin, and some others. This is unbelievable. This is going to be I'm going to go to part 2 because I'm almost at 20 minutes. I'm going to do a part 2.